Hi friends, it's Andrea. I hope this video finds you well. Today we are going to be making a really fun Halloween tote. There's so many novelty prints out now in the fabric shops and online. I hope you will select 3 complimentary Halloween themed fabrics and make yourself a really fun themed tote to carry this season. So this is the bag that we're going to be making together today. It features 3 pockets on the front, 3 pockets on the back. It has these handles which span the whole width of the bag there. It has side snaps there on each end to draw the bag in on the sides and offer it a unique shape. Likewise, the side snaps also allow you to expand the bag should you have a lot of contents or people are handing you stuff while you're out and your bag needs to grow with you. And then it also has a zipper top closure there, which has the extended tab on the end. So when you have the zipper all the way open, you can easily access the full top of the bag there. If you prefer a little slimmer silhouette, you can draw in the sides there, tuck that zipper tail inside and punch that zipper gusset down, and you have a nice little slim tote. So I am going to provide you with the pattern measurements as we sew. I'll put some helpful links for you down in the notes as well, where you can see all of the measurements in one spot. I will be working on my Juki TL2000QI today with a 9014 needle and some 50 weight Aurifil thread. And I have selected lightweight fusible fleece for my interfacing of choice. I found the fabric at Michael's. My Michael's now carries fabric, and you're going to need about a yard of each for 3 prints. You'll have plenty of leftovers, but I just think it's easier to order a yard of each. All right? So before we get started, let me give you the measurements so you have a better idea if this tote is for you. Across the base is 13 inches. With the sides drawn in across the top, it's 14 inches. The height on this is 8.5 inches, and the depth is 7 inches. When the bag is fully open like that, across the top we're coming in at closer to 22 inches. So it has the potential to be a really roomy tote if you need. I think it's going to be awesome for going to festivals, day trips, out with the family. So I hope you like it too. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, so we're going to begin by crafting the pocket panels. There are 2 exterior pocket panels, one on the front and one on the rear, and 1 interior pocket panel. All of the pocket panels are crafted in the same way, so in total you'll have 3. You do have an option of adding a 4th if you like. These pieces of material are 8 inches tall by 14 inches wide. You're going to take that top edge of each piece and press that inward to the wrong side, a 1/2 inch. And then you're going to take those 2 folded edges and line them up so just a bit of that interior pocket lining peeps out over the top of the exterior and creates a little bit of added interest. Then you're going to stitch really close to that exterior folded edge, as close as you can get without going over, and then bump down a 1/4 inch and add a second row of stitching. And that's what a finished pocket panel looks like. Again, you'll have 3 of those. Your body panels for the exterior and the interior measure 10 inches tall by 14 inches wide. You will have 4 of those. They should be backed with a lightweight fusible fleece, quilt batting, or your choice of interfacing. And there are 4 of those in total, one for the front and the rear of both the interior and the exterior. You're going to take your pocket panels and position those on top of those body panels 2.5 inches down from the top and even with the edge. If you have to prioritize something, prioritize the base of this being nice and even. Now for these exterior pocket panels, we're going to be dividing those in thirds. So I like to press in my stitch lines. So I'm going to fold that pocket in thirds and then finger press those. You can also steam press so that I have some really nice vertical stitch guides that will allow me to keep my pocket divisions nice and straight. So I'm going to stitch from the top of the pocket down to the base. I will be reinforcing with a back stitch at the top because that becomes a stress point. So my pocket panel attached to my exterior, and that is divided in thirds. You're going to repeat that process for all of your body panels that have pockets on them. For the interior pocket panels, you have the option of dividing those any way you like, but the exterior ones need to be divided in thirds. Then you're going to take 36 inches or 1 yard of your 1 inch wide poly strapping, and you're going to position that to the left and the right of that stitch line on the exterior. And you will be aligning the bottom edge of that handle with the bottom edge of your pocket panel. There is no overlap on this. And you just want to fashion like a large upside down U there. And again, the strapping is sitting right on the edge of that stitching that we just made. So on this side, it's to the right of the stitching, and on the opposite side, it's to the left of the stitching. And what that does is create some nice proportions in between the edges of the bag and the handle. And of course you want enough space here that you can carry the bag comfortably and use the handle as it's intended. So you'll notice I only put pins here down on the pocket section, and that's because we're going to be stitching 2 rows of stitching on each side here that align with the stitching on the pocket. That's going to attach the strap to this pocket panel. Then I'm going to come across the bottom here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance and tack down the base of that strap. So for these first stitches, you want to line your stitch lines up with the stitches that are on the pockets. So get it over the top of your stitch line, sink your needle, and then come in with a couple stitches and back up with a couple stitches before proceeding to the edge of the strap and reinforcing with the back stitch. Then you'll just bump down your 1/4 inch, same process, align the stitch lines and reinforce with a back stitch. Then you're going to break your thread and tack down the other side at the pocket. And then come right across the base with 1 row of stitching, a 1/4 inch up. You can back stitch there as well. You can see I was able to get mine nice and straight. So now my exterior panel is complete. You're going to repeat this process so you have a second exterior panel. And then you're going to need your base panel, which is 8 inches tall by 14 inches wide, also backed with the lightweight fusible fleece. You're going to need 2 side panels, which are 10 inches tall by 8 inches wide. On the side panels, you have the option of adding snaps. These snaps will be positioned 2.5 inches down and 1.5 inches in from each side. I selected these magnetic snaps, and the purpose of the snaps, which should have both the male and the female portions on each exterior side panel, is to draw the sides of the bag in and offer it a unique shape. So again, you have 2 of those side panels. You can use any kind of snap that you like. I just happen to have these magnetic snaps on hand, and I do own a cam press, so that makes it really easy to install those. So we're going to be using my modified T method to assemble this bag. You're going to take one of the exterior pocket panels, position that right side up on the table. Then you're going to take one of your side panels and position that right side's facing down. Your tops and your bottoms should be aligned, and you can just go ahead and add 2 clips there to hold that in place. Take your second side panel, position that right side facing down, a clip at the top and the bottom there to hold it in place. Then using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, stitch down the right hand side and the left hand side. And now you should have a 3-way panel, has your 2 sides attached and your front exterior pocket panel. We're going to set this aside for just a moment. Bring over that second exterior panel, which you might refer to as your rear exterior panel, and you can remove any pins that may have been holding down your handles. You're going to take your base panel, which is 8 inches tall by 14 inches wide, position that along the base of that rear pocket panel, aligning that long bottom edge, and stitch across there using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And now you have a 2-way panel. The next step is to bring back over that 3-way panel, open that up so it's right sides facing up on your table. Then you're going to open up your 2-way panel, and you're going to position that right sides facing down so you can center that base panel on that 3-way panel, and you want it centered here at that bottom edge. So you should have 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on each side. You are going to stitch seam to seam, leaving that 3/8 of an inch seam open here on the edge. So the easiest way to do that is to position the panel up on your machine deck and back that in so that the needle sinks right where that seam starts, or 3/8 of an inch in. And you're just going to go forward a few stitches, backwards a few stitches, and continue down the length of that base until you reach that seam on the other side, which is 3/8 of an inch in, and then you will butt right up against that seam and back stitch a few times to secure. Now when you open this up, you have something that looks like a large T, and that is why I call this the T method. So the next step in the process is to align the base of the side with the side of the base. And you're just going to work on each side there and line up those edges nice and tidy and stitch again seam to seam. And now you have something that kind of resembles a stage. The next step in the process is to raise up this final wall of the bag here and align those sides and then stitch from the top down to that base seam. Take care and make sure that you're capturing your pockets in this stitch line. And now the exterior of the bag is complete, so you can go ahead and turn that around, right side facing out, clean up any stray threads. Make sure you've captured all of your pocket edges in that seam allowance. And then if everything looks as you had hoped, then you can go ahead and take this top edge of the bag and turn it inward an inch. As you work around the bag, you're going to put clips to hold that top edge down. So the interior of this bag comes together in the same way using the modified T method that I just showed you. The only exceptions are you only have one bank of pockets, there's obviously no strap to attach, and there are no snaps on the side panel. So review the exterior instructions if this is your first introduction to the T method, but I can tell you the process quite simply is attaching the side panels to the front panel, attaching the base panel to the rear panel, positioning the two-fold panel on top of the three-fold panel, right sides facing, stitching across the base, stitching across the sides, and then raising up that last remaining panel to create your boxy interior. The interior will remain inside out, and that top edge is going to get folded over an inch to the wrong side here. You can go ahead and press that in place to hold that lip down. Then you will be fitting the interior inside of the exterior and aligning those side seams. You can then combine the clips so that they capture that interior layer and that exterior layer. If your seam allowances were consistent, those side seams will line up nicely. So now if you want, you could just stitch right around this top perimeter and you would have a really cute open top tote. I'm going to show you how to add a zipper panel to this if you prefer to have a zip top closure. So you will have two zipper panels which measure 14 inches long by 10 inches tall. You're going to press those in half long ways. So you have a 5 by 14 inch double panel. Using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, stitch down those short raw edges. Then take this panel and turn it right side out, poke out those corners, heat up your iron and turn that top edge in 1/4 inch and give this a good press all the way across there. And this is what that looks like after I've pressed it. Now you're going to want an 18-inch zipper for this. I am using Zipper by the Yard and have added a zipper tab at the end of that. If you are using a zipper that already has a tab at the end, you're good to go and you don't have to do anything different. Zipper tabs are really easy to create with small cuts of leather or vinyl or non-fraying material Likewise, you can also cut out a 1.5 inch by 3 inch cut of fabric and sew that together in a similar way like we just did these bigger zipper panels to create finished edges all the way around. But again, the easiest way is just using an 18-inch zipper that already has a tab. So here's what my zipper tab looked like when it was right sides facing before I stitched. That gives you an idea of how you might create a coordinating zipper tab. And then I have created this tiny little fabric accent here, which I looped through the zipper pull to add even more detail. And that was crafted from a 1.5 inch by 5 inch strip of fabric, which I folded right sides facing, angled the corners, and then turned right side out to create this fun little tab for my zipper. It's small details like that that take your bag to the next level. So this zipper is kind of a hybrid zipper. I'm going to do something a little different here in that I'm going to be tucking the raw edges of one end of the zipper inside of the zipper gusset, and that's going to create a self-stopping end here when the bag is closed. And then on the other end, I'm going to taper this off the edge of the zipper. And what this will allow me to do is open up the zipper beyond this zipper panel and give the bag a wider opening when it is fully open or fully loaded. So I'm going to walk you through that process. So with this process, it is easier to attach one of the gussets first and then line up that second gusset so that it tapers at the same angles and the zipper is folded in at the same angles. You will use a 1/4 inch stitch line and a 1/4 inch foot or a zipper foot, whichever you prefer, to stitch down each side of the gusset and attach that to the zipper tape. As you get down here to this end that we're tapering, just maintain that 1/4 inch seam allowance with the fabric and taper off the edge of the fabric. And then I like to give the panels a good press to make those as flat as possible. And here is what my zipper panel looks like. And because I have my zipper tab there on the end, and I have folded those edges inward and tacked them down with the stitch line, my zipper pull will not come off on either end. So working with this zipper closed, I want to bring back over my bag here, and I'm going to flatten the bag out here on the table and fold back those handles. And I want to insert this edge of my zipper gusset right in between the seams of my front and rear panel. I like to pin at each edge first and then come in and pin at center. You're keeping that zipper gusset nice and even and your bag panels nice and even. Once you get that secure on the ends, you can go ahead and open up the zipper and secure the center there. Then just make sure that your zipper panels are in fact even on both sides. And then your next step is to open up the zipper, position this up on the machine deck, and stitch all the way around the perimeter of the bag. I like to start on the opposite end of the zipper tab, and I'm just aligning the right hand edge of my presser foot with the top of that exterior body panel. The handles are folded down at the moment, but I am going to fold those up and stitch them in place as I come across. I hope you enjoyed that project. I was really in the mood to use some whimsical fabric, and this particular design is perfect for using fun holiday themed fabric, which is everywhere right now. So have a good time, pick out your crazy fabric, and make yourself or someone you love a holiday themed tote. So before I say goodbye, I really want to thank you for joining me today in the studio. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. And I ask that you'll do me a favor and give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It's one of the only ways you can let me know that you appreciate the time, effort, and materials that go into producing these step-by-step tutorials. So with that being said, until we meet again, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. I hope you have an awesome week.